Hello everyone, and welcome to my corner of the world, and welcome to my Sunday live. And today you can see that I've called it Around the Bend, which is one of the bundles that's currently available in the Spring Mini for 2023. And Around the Bend, I don't know about anywhere else, but back in the UK, around the bend is kind of a euphemism for sort of frustration. You might sort of say, oh, this is driving me around a bend. And so when I saw the title of this particular bundle, it kind of made me smile and drew me to it, I have to admit. So as always, if you're out there watching me, maybe you'll go ahead and make a little comment in the chat box on the right hand side. Just let me know I'm not talking to myself this Sunday. The card that I'm going to do today, as always, I've kind of got a bit of an idea in my mind of what to do, but we're going to be creating this card together. And I'll be asking you for input, ideas, suggestions, and I would really love it if you would join in with me on that. So as I say, we have, this is the bundle that I'm using. And the reason I decided I would do it this day, this day, is that this bundle has got some really lovely dies in it to create sort of layers. And when I first saw it, I was, as I say, I was excited with the name and all, but then I started to think, okay, well, if we're going to layer these layers, how do I know where to cut my cardstock to kind of make sure that all the bits line up? And so I had to think about it, and that's really what I'm going to share today, is lining this up, lining up with the coordinating stamps, because these have been designed to sort of line up with these as well. So anyway, that's my thought for today, that we would work through that idea together. Now, this die set has also got some other pretty pieces, and I have to admit I have played with a couple of these ones. So this card I created using some of these dies, but you can see I kind of shied away a little bit from doing too much layering, but this here is sort of cut from there, and there are some lovely leaves and some little blossoms, and there's even hearts here. And I join in a scrapbook hop every month, and I created a scrapbook page using those same elements as well, if you can just sort of see that. So as I say, today we're going to experiment with how to make all these bits line up and look good. I've pulled some colours out of my stash to work with, and I'm going to use a basic white base, and I want to use some nice bright colours so that when we sort of build all these layers up, it's nice and clear on where all the different layers go. So I'm going to use, I think this, Night of Navy. It's one of my favourite colours, and Navy was was one of my mum's favourite colours, and so I'm gonna use those. And then as my contrasts, I've pulled out 3 different colours, and I'm not quite sure which one I want to go with. So I've got Melon Mambo, Fresh Freesia, and Coastal Cabana. So we're going to have a quick look. So, I mean, that would make a nice, quite a nice contrast with the Coastal Cabana. There's the Fresh Freesia, which is a little bit more subtle, but goes really well. And then here's the Melon Mambo. Which has got quite a striking contrast. So if you're out there and you'd like to give me your view, I would appreciate that. So there's our 3 options, and I'm wondering whether I go really crazy and do those 3, or maybe those. No, I'm not so sure about that one, but those might go nicely together if I can work those in. Okay, so let's take, I thinking about it, I think I'm going to go Melon Mambo. But I might perhaps bring these other colours in with my inks. Right, okay. So the first thing I think I want to do is to put down something to the bottom, because I think I'm gonna either, I mean, should I put it to the top or to the bottom? Let's see. I mean, I could do my layers there, or I could do them up there. I think I prefer them at the top. So I want something down here, and I'm going to use this corner stamp because I think that would look nice. So these are photopolymer stamps, which basically means you can see through them, and because you can see through them, it means that it's easy to line up. So I'm gonna, there and there, I think that's where I'm gonna put mine. And I'm gonna start with Night of Navy, because if I change my mind about using another colour, then I'm not stuck with this on the bottom of the card. So I've just got that in the bottom corner. Like that. So there's my starting point. And I managed to get ink all over me already. Let's just get rid of that before I get it all on my card and get really upset myself. There we go. Right. So I want to use these. And you can see, look, they're wider than the card. So my quandary that I've been putting off using these is, well, how do I make sure when I've got these pieces of card cut, am I going to make sure that my my curves are all sort of parallel to one another. I mean, that's what's going through my mind. And I've managed to get a little bit of ink in the middle there, so I'm going to try and do this so that I cover that piece of ink. So part of the reason I wanted to lay these pieces down here first was to make sure that I cut these so they weren't too low. So I've basically got here, I've got just under 2 inches here. So my first thought is, do I do this colour toward the bottom and then have the Night of Navy to the top, and just have like a little just like a little bit of the pink showing through. That might be a little bit more subtle than doing it the other way around. Let's think. I think I'm going to put the pink underneath. Right. So here is how I thought I might make this work. My dies are about 6 inches long. So I figured that if I used a piece of card that was 6 inches wide, then I would have like a ½ an inch to play with to line up the curves, and then I could trim the extra pieces off. So I'm going to cut this piece, my 2 inches, because that's how much space I've got here, and I can always trim off a bit afterwards, and I'm going to cut it by 6. So that gives me this piece here. And then if I cut a piece of this 2 inches, maybe I'll make it just slightly narrower. Maybe I'll just make it 1 3/4. No, I'm going to cut it 2. I am going to cut it 2. You don't want to experiment too much. So I've got my pieces like that, and it's going to go like that, is my thought. Right, so let's just clear the decks a tiny weeny bit, and now we've got to cut out our pieces, and I'm going to use my mini cut and emboss machine. And I'm going to do this one first. Let's just move that to the back. And I'm just going to do this. Let me get that out of the way so you can see. I'm going to do this so that this piece is toward that bottom edge, and we're going to stick it down to prevent it moving. And then pop that on the top. And then crank it through. See what we've got? So this is going to kind of go about here, I'm thinking, when we attach that. And I haven't done my little bit of, I was going to use that stamp. I haven't done that bit yet, so I'll have to do that in a minute. Okay, so that's that piece. Now we're going to do the other piece. Now, this piece, this die, up here, it kind of cuts the holy design, but it doesn't cut an edge. It's this piece down here that cuts an edge. So we're going to again line this up so that that bottom edge is to the bottom of my piece of card. And then we're going to tack it down so it doesn't move. I'm going to put another piece down here because this is critical, I think, to make sure that everything lines up when I come to put it together. Right. Oh, a little bit of an arm workout today, but I'm pursing it through really slowly because I want to make sure that all those little holes are nicely cut, and they are. Look at that. Okay, I've got my little brush somewhere. There. I'm going to just use this little brush to get my bits out. Let's move that out of the way so we're not working against ourselves. And I've got a bit of sponge somewhere. That I can roll this onto, and those bits should come out nicely. There, oh look at that, they're flying out literally. Look at that, that really looks lovely. Okay, so let's see how it's going to work. Let's clear the decks again. Some of these bits off. All right. So if all goes well, because I know that this is 6, both of those pieces are 6 inches. If I line up the edges, can you see my curves are all lined up together? So as I say, I thought about it, and it looks like it's working. Oh, hello Hilda, good to see you. Thanks for joining me today. So we're looking at the Around the Bend stamp set with the coordinating dies, and I've been working out with you all how to cut with these dies to make sure that everything kind of lines up. So my big concern when I was doing it is that if I cut these pieces of card exactly 5.5 to fit across the front of the card, that if I didn't put my dies exactly in the right place, I might end up with something like that, which I wouldn't be happy with. So by cutting them both at 6 and 2 by 6 by 2, and making sure I put that bottom of the die right on the edge of the card, I have now got a really cute lined up piece. So it's just really now a case of deciding how far I want this to go down. Now, one of the things I did want to do was to use, and I've gone and lost it, the stamp that coordinated with this. I thought I had popped it back in the box, but clearly I have not. So that might be something I have to do later on. Oh, well, what the heck did I do with the stamp? Not very well organised today, Cindy. Give me a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. If you've got any questions, let me know if you have any questions or any comments, anything that you'd like to share with me today. I found it. See, it fell off the edge of the desk onto the drawer. So again, I just say that this is like a photopolymer, and it wiggles and wobbles. Now, if you want it to be in the right place, in the right shape, I always lay mine down on the work surface, and then I will pick it up, and that will be like its natural shape. But you can, if you wanted to, you could sort of make those curves a bit bigger, and then put them on the block. So I'm just going to pick mine up here, and I'm going to pop these down here like that. I think that's what I'm going to do. And I need some paper too, so I don't mess up my work surface. And I have a bit right here. Now, I think I'm going to use the... So, okay, any suggestions? Do I go ahead and stamp my curvy piece here with the Melon Mambo, or should I go ahead and just use the Night of Navy again? Now, it will take a few moments for your comments to come back to me. So what I'll do is I'll just stamp on my grid paper with the colours so that you can kind of see. So there's the Night of Navy. That's how it will look when we if we use that colour. And then the alternative would be to use Mango Melody. Not Mango Melody, Melon Mambo. So we just need to decide which would be a good colour. Now I want the pink to pop, but I don't necessarily want it to overwhelm. So is that enough pink going to show through? Will the pink be a nice contrast for this bit down here? Okay. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the pink. That's what I'm going to do. And I want to just hold that down flat for a moment so it doesn't jump up. Now then, I want to have that lined up like that. Well, that's not too bad. So then if I pop this there, because I can now sort of move this around to line up with the here, and then like that. All right, so I think the next thing to do is to attach this piece. So I'm going to use my liquid. So what's it like in your part of the world, Hilda? We've got a beautiful sunny day here in North Texas, but it was perishing. It was below freezing last night. Absolutely below. It was. And yesterday our subdivision held like an Easter egg hunt, and we walked down there to see the children play. Oh, it was so cold, but they were all wrapped up, and I had my picture taken with the Easter bunny, and there was a petting zoo there, and all sorts of games for the people to play. It was really well done. We've got a very good homeowners association. They do an awful lot for the residents, entertainment wise. Okay, so can you see what I've done is I have literally just layered those up so that the ends meet, and then I know that my curve is in the right place. And then let me get that out of the way. I don't think we need to do any more stamping. Oh, it's snowing in upstate New York. Oh dear. Oh, I am sorry to hear that, Hilda. Well, hopefully you don't have to go out today. So that's what I've got. And you can see that although I've put those up, I've made sure that this is level down here. This card here is at a bit of an angle, and I think that's because when I loaded up these two pieces, they may not have quite been, they might have been sort of slightly sort of tilted up and down. But that's the beauty of using a piece of card that is bigger than you need, because we'll be able to trim all that off. You stay in. I don't blame you, Hilda. Here in North Texas, we had really cold weather in the run-up to Christmas. And then we had a really bad snowstorm followed by an ice storm in early February, I think it was. we just stayed in. We just battened down the hatches and just waited it out. All right, now I'm going to attach these pieces. Let me just see how I need to. See, I don't need to put adhesive right up to the top here. I just need to put my adhesive basically on the pink. So we were going to go for a walk this morning, but as soon as I stuck my nose out the door and realised how cold it was, we didn't walk. Maybe later on it'll be a little bit more conducive to walking, going for a nice walk. All right, so now I'm just going to slide this around until I've got a nice even piece here. I'm happy with that. There. And then just firmly do that. Now I'm going to let that set up for a few moments because that liquid glue just needs a few moments to dry off. And I just need to do a greeting. So I was going to use this punch. This is the double oval punch. And the reason I thought I would use it is because it's got a scalloped edge, and it will go well with the scalloped edge that's on here, and it will fill this piece here. So I could say, just wanted to say thanks. I could use hello there. Any preference? Anybody like to choose which one that they'd like to do? And then while we do that, we've also got some really cute little sort of leafy grassy bits in there as well, so I wonder if I could just use a couple of those inside my card. Let's do that. Maybe what I'll do is I'll pull my pink through into the inside of the card, just like that. So, okay, so Hilda says hello there. Now, should I do it in the pink or the navy ink, do you think? Let's get ourselves an envelope. I'm not gonna fit another one on there. So let's go ahead and get the hello there. And this would be a great card for practically any occasion. You know, even if you just want to send a card to someone to let them know that you're thinking of them. Okay, so we're going to go with navy. And should I use pink or navy card for the scallop bit on the back? Let's go for the navy. And I've got a scrap of card. Let's see, I should have a little scrap of white somewhere. Oh, well, this big scrap will work. Right, so I'm just gonna Alright, so that hello there is going to okay, so let's think. That is not going to fit in that punch, but it will there. Lovely. And Hilda's voting for pink on the background, so we'll show you how we can make this work. So we got these two pieces here that are now the same size. I am going to just cut this one in half like that, and I'm going to take a little bit of adhesive on one side here, and I'm going to attach this here so I get a little border. Like that. Okay. Alright, so I can just nip off these tiny little pieces here, just so that they don't look quite so odd poking out. So I know I've got a gap in the back, but nobody else is going to see that, so I can, so that can go there. And now I can trim these up. I think that's nicely set now, so I can trim that up there. So I'm really glad I decided to cut that piece of Night of Navy, the 2 inches, the same as the other one. It's really not a good cut there, but so that can go there, and I can pop that up on some dimensionals. Oops, struggling with a bit like that. All right, so what do we think so far? I think I just need a little something else. And I'm going to I'm going to use a couple of these additional dies, if no other reason than to just show you how they work. So there's some blossoms, nice big daisy blossom there. I used that on, let's see, I used that on this card here, and these blossoms there. But I'm going to do these leaves, because these leaves are really lovely. And I think I'm going to do one in the pink, and then I find myself a scrap of blue. I'm going to do one in the navy. And the thing I love about these leaves is that not only does the die cut them out, but it embosses them as well. So let's just see. Pop those back. I haven't got my little pot with me today. I usually have a pot on my workbench that as I'm using dies, I pick them in and out of it so that I don't lose them. Now I'm going to bring these up to the camera, so hopefully it won't make you feel woozy. But if you see, you can just see that it's actually embossed the little veins on there, and it just makes them finish them off beautifully. Now, I think I'll do it down here. Either side or just on one side together? What do we think? Well, I'm glad you think the card is beautiful, Hilda. As I say at the beginning of my lives, I have no idea what it's going to turn out like. Just as it develops and with your input. Right. We're just going to pop those down with a tiny little dot of adhesive. And all right, so there's pearls, rhinestones. So rhinestone, should I put some rhinestones on there? Maybe just a couple. Yes, no. Hasn't got any bling on, and it isn't Cindy's. It can't be my design if it hasn't got any bling on it. Okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to put one here which kind of balances out that bit there, and maybe I'll put one up here, and maybe just one there. There. As my sweet Aunt Dinah would have said, oh yeah, you agree, Hilda, we need bling. As my sweet Aunt Dinah would have said, I think that is an elegant sufficiency. So there we have, I'm just going to put a bit of a crease on that. It's not sitting properly. So there we have our card for today, where we have used this Around the Bend bundle, and I've shared with you how I make these pieces sort of line up, so all my curves are in the right, are sort of all lined up and looking good. And we also experimented with using that punch to make it fit the hello there, but also be able to have a background piece as well. Well, I do hope that you have enjoyed working on this card with me. Thank you, Hilda, for your contributions. You helped in the design. I certainly have enjoyed working with you on it. If you've enjoyed the video, perhaps you'll go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you don't subscribe to my channel, you can do that. And if you've any comments beneath, I would certainly love to read them. And also, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me, you can always put them underneath and I'll be happy to answer them. Well, again, I've had a lovely time with you and I will be back next week. Thank you, Hilda. I'm glad you've enjoyed joining in the design. As I say, I will be back next week with another live, and I'll be putting my thinking cap on over the next few days to decide what I can share with you. Well, that's about it for today, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye bye for now, everybody. Bye bye.